Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to your weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion. If you're new here, my name is Jordan Bonaparte, and in Keep Canada Weird, my pal Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore some of the offbeat news stories that played out across Canada over the past week. In tonight's episode, which we recorded on the 16th of July 2024, Aaron and I visit the Leslieville Dollhouse. We mediate a disagreement between a woman and her credit card company concerning a fake ring bought at a souvenir shop in Mexico. We get pecked by a chicken that can sort of read. And we investigate alien sightings on Edmonton's Google Maps Street View. So let's get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport, let's address the elephant in the room. What are you drinking tonight?
Oh, I am still on my standard.
Okay.
Sugar-free, caffeine-free Coca-Cola.
Okay, we may have to stop starting the episodes with this because I'm just drinking tea like I always do. In fact, when I was preparing to come and record with you, I was making tea and I was like, maybe I should not make tea and have something else so I have something interesting to say. And I was like, no, I'm a creature of habit. I got tea. So,
well, I'm a creature of habit too, and I find that interesting that we both drink more or less. Every now and then I do come out of nowhere with an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, like
sometimes.
That gin smasher 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I had those like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Coca-Cola to reach out to us because I've been really pumping their sugar-free, caffeine-free drinks.
Yeah, you're doing all you can. I don't know if it's affected sales, but you're sure making a run for it.
It has to have. Yeah, of course. Sobeys in Atlantic Canada can't keep it on the shelves.
No, it's true. The Keep Canada Weird Army is just raiding anywhere that has sugar-free, caffeine-free Coke. You can find us there.
And tea.
Or regular, orange
or
pico. Or
regular orange pico tea. Yeah.
Well, this is boring. Let's get into it. We're here not to talk about our drinks. We're here to keep Canada weird by highlighting and exploring the weird news stories that played out across this great nation over the past week. And my goodness, we got a bunch of them tonight. But before we get to them, like we always do, let's hear from some members of the Keep Canada Weird listenership. I got some voicemails that are weighing in on last week's topics. The first one is I'll call this an anonymous dad joke. And, being a dad myself, I like a good dad joke. And we really missed a golden opportunity for dad jokes in last week's episode when we were talking about the fellas who put the arse in arsonist. I'm talking about the guys who lit themselves on fire when trying to burn down a building. I believe it was in Edmonton. That story was ripe for a dad joke. Listen to this.
Hi, I'm calling about the arse who set the fire and set himself on fire. Even if they catch him, he's not going to admit it. His pants are on fire. Sure, I'm not the first to call with that.
I had to have a little stupid chuckle when I heard that because this anonymous caller was the first to call with that. I never even thought about it.
Yeah, no, good call on the dad joke caller.
Yeah. Now, another one, just since that was a short one, we'll open with two voicemails. Let's hear from Maddie. We talked last week about Nicky Nine Door, the emerging public safety threat. Also, of course, we talked about the name Nicky Nine Door versus doors and so on and so forth. Maddie has some ideas on that. Listen to this.
Hi guys, I'm pretty sure that the point of Nicky Nine Doors is to knock on 9 doors. I don't know, I guess you're the winner if you can go up to 9 houses and knock on the door and not get caught. I don't know, but it could be something to think about. Thanks, love the show.
Very good theory on the 9 doors, why it's plural.
Yeah,
that's a good theory. What is Nicky?
Yeah,
that?
It is weird, and I never thought of that whole 9 doors theory that maybe it was at some point a game that had rules and structure, and you wanted to get 9 doors done. I've never really thought of that because the Nicky Nine Door which is again what we called it, ours was this anarchistic, no rules, no limits, no nothing thing. We just ran to someone's door, banged on it, and took off. We weren't keeping score of how many homes we hit. In fact, what we did sometimes is we'd bang on one door and then we'd run across the street and like hide in a bush so we could watch them open the door all confused. We're quite lucky we didn't get our butts kicked.
Yeah, there was no score when we played it either. And yeah, I'm not sure what Nicky Nicky means. I assume it's knocking. It's some kind of a phrase for knocking, do you think?
Maybe Nicky Nicky, but it also like Nicky kind of sounds a little bit like sneaky and like those words. Maybe once upon a time, being a little Nicky meant like being a little like
I don't know. It's actually the more I say it, think about it, the worse it becomes that word.
yeah.
Nicky
Let's
Nicky.
let's move on. I don't know if we'll ever
Yeah.
have to revisit the topic here on Keep Canada Weird, but who knows? In this country, it seems like
Yeah.
we have these reoccurring threads that kind of form around what we're doing here, and usually we have very little say in it. So maybe we'll hear more about
Yeah.
it. But let's get into the stories tonight. I got four stories. All of them are slam dunk, keep Canada weird, qualifying stories. Let's start in Toronto. We talked last week how you and I were in Toronto recently together with our
Hmm.
good buddy Randy. There was a place in Toronto we probably could have visited. I didn't know about it until now. I'm talking about what's often referred to either as the Leslieville or the Toronto Dollhouse. So there's a house in the Leslieville area of Toronto. Again, colloquial. Oh man, I hate this word, but I'm going to
Leave all of this in.
There is a home in the Leslieville area of Toronto that is colloquially known as the Dollhouse. The owner of the house, her name is Shirley, claims it's her life mission to spread happiness. And one of the many ways she does it is by decorating the exterior of her house with countless dolls, toys, and a seemingly never ending variety of trinkets. In fact, the home is so well decorated that it actually takes effort to see the structure behind the blanket of plush and plastic that covers the thing. But as great as the dollhouse is, looks like things are going to be changing there. After 30 years, Shirley is forced to list it for sale.
Goofy M&M characters, dogs, footballs, and there's Elmo up there. No, you name it, it's here.
This life-size dollhouse that has been bringing joy to neighbors and tourists for generations is looking for a new owner.
Originally it was a garden with just flowers and stuff like that. It changed afterwards because there was a lot of watering and taking care of the plants. So then she transitioned to themes, Halloween themes and Christmas themes.
Tom Sumasar's mother is the creative mind behind this masterpiece. She started to fill her front yard as a way of filling the void left when her beloved husband died. But it took some time for Tom to appreciate it.
Like, what's going on here? Like, why are you doing this? And next thing I know, like, people are fascinated with it. And my mom's like, I just want to make people happy. Like, everybody comes and takes photos. They love it.
As it grew on Tom, it grew in size and scope.
I think it was a coordination effort to put certain things in certain areas, because I do notice that myself now.
Many items donated by strangers.
Well, it may not be an official Toronto landmark, but if you Google Leslieville Dollhouse, tons comes up online. On TripAdvisor, it's listed as a location to visit. There are reviews on Yelp, and if you go to Instagram, tons of pictures and videos.
I had somebody here from Australia that said they saw it on social media. It's brought a lot of joy. I'm sure some people may think otherwise, but it is what it is.
Aesthetically, I don't love it, but I have a huge amount of respect for the work that goes into it and how much joy it brings people.
Tom's mother has owned the home for more than 30 years.
And I wish she could keep this forever, and she wishes she can keep it forever, but her health
But with her health declining,
is not the greatest, and she needs constant care. So I need her to come closer to us.
he says it's time to sell.
That's the reason we have to move her out.
So many people ask, are you going to take all of the dolls and the toys down? And at first I was like, well, maybe we should do that because we want the public to see the home. But no, it represents something and it's historical. And so this is very different than anything I've done before.
The home hits the market Thursday, listing price to be determined.
That story took me for a ride. Like there's so much there. It's interesting that this person took on this project of decorating your house and becoming like the neighborhood nut. I'm sure they're seen as by many. That's an interesting story. The way that this home has become like a destination to visit, Not surprised by that. Then there's that human interest tale of like the son's mom's aging, health is failing, and he has to pull her out of the bizarre little nest she made for herself, and that's really sad. And then of course the real estate agent who has to try to sell this place while it remains decorated, which I think is a pretty bold decision.
Very bold. Because when somebody views this property, if they view it, because there's a lot of issues that are going to jump up in trying to sell this home.
Mhm.
Um, but the buyer more than likely, unless you find a very unique buyer who's going to want the toys to stay, most buyers are, even if they are interested, are probably going to want you to remove all of the
Everything.
toys
Yeah.
before the closing day of the sale.
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be a buyer out there that's going to want to keep the toys. It's like if you look at photos of it, imagine like a plushie, like a stuffed toy hung on your tree or your fence for 5 years. Like it's a lot of that stuff is gross looking. Like I'm sure
Yeah, it
there's
looks very weathered and very dirty. And
yeah. Yeah.
but the thing is that if they decide to keep the toys, which they won't, but if they did, that's a lot of maintenance to
Mhm.
be constantly doing, cleaning the toys. And what about a windstorm coming through? Those toys are going to be all over the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's well, who knows? They've been there a while, so they're probably pretty secured. But I think the real estate market in Toronto is such that like an empty lot sells for an incredible amount of money. Whoever buys this, like we're seeing the outside of it, and it looks like a madman's lair. Can you imagine what's inside of this house? I can't wait to see the photos for the listing, but I'm sure this is the kind of thing that whoever buys it, unless they want to maintain it as like a museum to the Leslieville Dollhouse, they're probably going to gut the entire thing. And so, regardless of how it shows at a showing, it's probably like almost irrelevant anyway. Like it's probably someone going to buy it and tear the whole thing apart and start from scratch. But I could see the interesting condition in the closing agreement that like I will buy the house, provided that the inspection's okay and I'm able to secure funding for my mortgage, and you remove every damn toy off of this building and fence and tree and gate before the closing date. Who would you even hire
Yeah,
to do that?
if I were the owners or owner, I would have like a yard sale.
Mm,
So I would agree to the terms to have the toys removed, and then I would have a crazy yard sale. Every toy is free. Come and get it.
that would be pretty awesome. And that actually, like, that's not a bad idea. That would be a great way to kind of commemorate and celebrate and memorialize the
Hmm.
Leslieville Dollhouse. And anyone who enjoys this place could go and grab a bear and bring it home, and you have a little bit of it at your house. I like that idea.
Oh, great.
I'll reach
Do
out
you
to the
want to
agent.
reach out? Yeah, do you want to reach out to the realtor? And
I'll
yeah,
do
we'll
it.
let them know it's problem solved.
Yeah, we
We're
figured it
always
out.
solving problems on here.
We'll come back to this story. This is one we'll follow this as the listing comes up and as the sale closes. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully we can get maybe an insider, someone who knows about this story that can bring us even closer to it. Uh,
Yeah, the only thing missing from all the toys on the front lawn of that house is a couple of Keep Canada Weird stickers.
hmm And we
So if
can make that
anybody in
happen.
the area listens to KCW
Yeah,
and already has a few stickers from a voicemail they left previously, then go stick few KCW stickers on there.
yeah. And if you don't have any, email nighttimepodcast@gmail.com and I'll get something out to you. But let's move on to the next story. But before we do, let's again check in with a listener. This is an interesting one. The story we talked about last week about the mysterious pile of lobsters that were found rotting and decaying on the side of a road has got the listeners talking. Miles has an interesting theory on what this pile of lobsters was about. And I hope you're sitting down, Aaron, because he thinks it may have something to do with the animal uprising. Listen to this.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. It's Miles. I was listening to the podcast last night about the 100 lobsters that was found on the side of the road. I have a theory that it's not human related. It's all about the animal uprise that's going to happen. See, this was a dry run for the lobster soldiers to see how long they could fight and survive on land before they had to rush back to the ocean and replenish. So, unfortunately, 100 of the lobster soldiers passed away, but it was for the better good of the lobster uprise that's going to happen to us in the near future. I enjoy the show. I enjoy all your shows, actually. Thanks for listening.
Miles might be onto something. Now, what I find concerning about this, and I've been noticing this trend in some of the voicemails we get, specifically related to the animal issue, is we've talked about it as an animal uprising that's kind of occurring now, and we're kind of in the middle of it. But it seems like the majority of voicemails we get are are speaking about it as if it's some future event that's being prepared for and will happen at a future date. Like they will flip the switch. The animals will say, all right, game over. It starts now. And that a lot of these stories that we're covering related to animals acting unusual or aggressive towards humans are tests or exercises in preparation for A Day, Animal Day.
Animal Day, yeah. This is an interesting theory with the lobster soldiers.
A failed exercise.
Yeah, because I would find, although lobsters have claws, pinchers, I'd find them to probably be towards the bottom in terms of useful soldiers for the animal uprising.
But
they could be used as bullets somehow, but all they can really do is pinch. What
your
else could a
ankles.
lobster do?
I don't. Well, here's the thing. This is 100 lobsters. Could you imagine the terror in your heart if you were just walking down the street and all of a sudden, a dark street, all of a sudden you just hear this click clattering of just like almost like the sound of nails on a table, and you look behind you and you see 100 lobsters just charging towards you, all their little legs flying, their pinchers just going. One pincher cuts, the other squishes. I would run for my life from those things. But again, as we saw,
Yeah, but but we're talking like it would take 100 lobsters to affect one human. They're not going to be effective frontline soldiers in the animal uprising. So I think if this was a test, it was a failed test. And I think it's bad news for the lobsters because they're probably going to get left behind in the animal uprising and will probably end up in the same place the humans are, at the bottom of the ocean.
I think when A Day comes, they will probably find a better way to contribute than being used as ground forces. But anyway, let's move on. We got a story to get into here. This one does relate to animals. It can be seen as a mitigating factor in the lead up to the animal uprising, I suppose. If lobsters can't be utilized to take the world back from humans, perhaps chickens can. And I think if they're going to, a veterinarian in British Columbia named Emily Carrigan is going to be important. Emily, as I mentioned, is a veterinarian and she takes her job to the next level. Using a chicken named Lacey as a test subject, Emily has taught this animal how to spell to an extent, and as a result earned a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records. Well, she didn't. The chicken Lacey did. Listen to this.
A chicken from Gabriel Island has a new title, Guinness World Record holder. The chicken was taught to identify letters, colors, and objects by her owner, who happens to be a veterinarian. CTV's Shannon Patterson has the story.
You're watching the video that cemented this chicken's place in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Here's Lacey. And so she's the one that got the world record.
Lacey is one of many chickens veterinarian Emily Carrington has been training at her home on Gabriel Island.
I teach them to peck at certain targets, and they get a reward for that task in the form of a little bit of grain, or I might give them a piece of bread.
She realized chickens are actually quick learners.
If I present two choices in front of them, they walk over and they pick the one that I've taught them to peck at, and they ignore the other ones.
Carrington concentrated on teaching her chickens to pick letters of the alphabet and contacted Guinness about competing for the world record for most tricks performed by a chicken.
I thought first of all, the record would be fun to do, but mostly it's a way to present the chicken who gets kind of a bum rap in a lot of ways. They give the chicken like this prize for being really, really good at something that maybe people didn't even know they could do at all.
On testing day, Lacey correctly pecked 6 consecutive letters, making her the Guinness World Record holder in a brand new category, most identifications by a chicken in 1 minute.
When they changed it to identification, so being able to tell letters apart, they're featuring their chicken's intelligence and its ability to make choices. So I love that they changed that.
Carrington hopes Lacey's feat will open people's eyes about what chickens can do.
I think we all know that ravens are very, very smart, and and parrots can talk. But I don't think anybody stopped to think about chickens very much.
Having mastered the alphabet, Lacey and her coop mates will soon be moving to a nearby farm to enjoy their golden years.
They have the ability to roam all over this, and the chickens are going to go and live out their retirement at that beautiful acreage.
A well-earned rest for a record-setting bird.
When you think of the Guinness Book of World Records, I see it in stores, and it's, I don't know, usually I think it's probably like 200 pages maybe. How could they have enough space in that book for records that include things such as most positive identifications by a chicken within a minute? Like how like deep down into the weeds are they going for these records?
I don't know how they structure every book. I mean, I don't think every edition of the book has every single world record ever set through them.
I think
I
they'll
imagine that they're just featuring
the main records in the book, and
the main records that they want to feature for that book. Yeah.
And I guess it's good advertising for them to just have unlimited records, because every time some bizarre record set, on the Guinness Book of World Records all over the news. But in this case, are you impressed by this? This chicken was able to identify letters 6 times in a row. Is that smart?
Yeah, but it's not really letters that it's identifying, it's shapes.
She had a stick with like a couple like shapes or whatever, like kind of glued to the stick, and one of them was a letter. So I guess the chicken was able to hit the letter rather than hitting the, I don't know, the random triangle or something. It's sort of impressive.
It's cool, but like the letter is also a shape to the chicken. The letter, the chicken's not going, oh, a letter.
Mm-hmm.
I can build words with that.
She just had it programmed, like she made it familiar with these specific
with the
letters.
Shape of the letter A and the shape of the letter B and whatever.
Yeah. So it's
and then the chicken just knows, oh, when I peck that shape, I get food.
Mm-hmm. Just you've seen, maybe even have this sort of thing, but there's kind of like bowls for cats or dogs or whatever, where they have to like hit a button with their paw and then some food like dumps out or something. It's kind of just like an elaborate version of that. And I don't know, like she made the comparison in the clip of like, people think of ravens as smart, but not chickens. When you think of like a crow or a raven or something, like they're doing like these elaborate things, like using sticks as tools to like dig things out of places. And you've probably seen that clip. I think it's in China, where there's a certain type of seed that falls in the trees that the crows love, but their beaks can't break it. So what they do is they wait for them to fall on the ground, and then they sit up on the power lines and wait for cars to drive over the seeds to break them open, or to break the shell open so they can get at the seed. But one step further is that they also watch the streetlights, so they know when it's safe to get down on the road and grab the seeds that have been broken by the cars. So like, that's smarter than most children would be able to figure, like than a child would be able to figure out. This chicken, even despite this world record, I still think of them as dumb animals.
Yeah, I think if you spend enough time with any animal that you would consider on the same level as a chicken,
Hmm.
you could get them to do the same thing.
I'm sure. I don't know if I could actually, but like I wouldn't.
Well, if you had the patience like this woman has,
What
this
is
woman clearly has nothing better to do with her time. So
there must not be a large demand for veterinary care in Gabriella Island where she's able to,
she's refusing work because she's busy with the chicken.
what
She's
is
like, I'd love to save your dog, but I'm trying to get this chicken to recognize the letter Q
versus a shape? What is the more
versus a circle.
what is the more worthwhile pursuit? Teaching a chicken to identify letters versus shapes, or decorating your house with stuffed animals and weird stuff you find at Value Village and the Salvation Army? What is better for the greater good of humanity?
Are you talking about the house story from earlier, the
Yes.
dollhouse?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm just thinking
What's
these are
more noble of a pursuit, the
yeah,
chicken or the house?
yeah, because these are two people who've taken on kind of like a bizarre pastime or hobby or mission or obsession.
Well, at least the house brings joy to people.
Hmm.
They walk by, they love it, they come back, they take pictures. The chicken thing, other than the chicken finds it very useful because it gets fed every time it recognizes the letter.
Hmm.
And then I guess she got in the Guinness Book of World Records over it.
Well, I don't know if she did or if it was the
The
chicken that
chicken
did.
did, but
Mhm.
she's getting the attention.
Yeah.
But other than those two little things, I don't really see the purpose.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna go with the
that the
house.
chicken is, yeah, the house seems to me to be a more valuable and noble pursuit.
Mhm.
Not that I have anything against chickens. It's just something bothers me about this woman spending so much time with this chicken.
Yeah, that is odd.
It
Uh,
doesn't sit right with me.
uh, Great segue. When you say sit right with you, some people use those kind of words to describe like your body's ability to digest food. Like I ate something and it's just not sitting right. So we'll use that as a segue to a voice message from an American named Kelsey who came to Canada. And where did she stop? But Tim Hortons. Let's see if Tim Hortons sat right with Kelsey.
Hi, Jordan. My name's Kelsey. I'm calling from Tacoma, Washington, and I take a lot of road trips in between Washington and Oregon, and I've been loving listening to your podcast, catching up on old episodes. And I don't remember where I heard your segment about Tim Hortons Pizza. It could have been an episode with Madeline Klein where you talked about the infamous pizza joint in Regina, but I had the pleasure 2 weekends ago to visit the beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Brentwood Bay, Vancouver, BC, Tsawwassen, if that's how you pronounce it. And I knew I had to go to Tim Hortons because I'd never tried it before, and I knew I had to try a Tim Hortons pizza. Now, due to your reviews and comments on the podcast, I was expecting the pizza to be quite bad, but I actually had a great experience. My boyfriend and I loved the pizza. It came out super fast, was very hot and fresh, and honestly, it was exactly what we needed after a long travel day. So, yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on Tim Hortons pizza. I kind of hope they keep it around. We went inside, so we didn't hold up the drive-through, but it could be different in a drive-through only store. But yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts about Tim Hortons Pizza. I love your podcast. Thank you so much. Consider me your PNW correspondent, and I hope to be visiting British Columbia much more. It was my first visit. So thank you. Have a good one.
So I just want to be clear right off the bat, as I have huge issues with Tim Hortons. I don't have any issues with their pizza as a product. My issue is with Tim Hortons' decision to introduce pizza into their already confusing and underwhelming selection of foods. It just seems like an odd fit for Tim Hortons, and I think I made that clear. But I will say I have bought way too much of it, as did my children.
Yeah, you've had a ridiculous amount of Tim Hortons pizza.
It's so quick and easy and cheap.
I've had it a few times. It's not bad. For fast food pizza, it's okay. I'm not going to let anybody convince me that it's better than okay.
I think calling it pizza, that one word is misleading as well, though. I think to call it like flatbread pizza is more appropriate because it's not necessarily a pizza. It's a flatbread, um, like a
Yeah, but
pita with.
flatbread pizza is pizza.
Yeah, I just think if this is different than pizza, and I think to say Tim Hortons makes pizza maybe is misleading. They make flatbread pizza.
No, I think they make pizza. I
Really?
mean, they use a flatbread as the dough,
Yeah,
but I mean, that's still pizza.
I guess you're right.
You do call it a flatbread pizza, but it's still a pizza.
Yeah, they use that in their branding. They say like on the menus and stuff, it's flatbread
Yeah,
pizza.
no, they're flat out calling it a pizza, so
Um,
we'll have to go with that as fact, but
yeah, but I
it's
think
yeah, it's okay. Like it does it, in a pinch, it'll hook you up,
yeah,
it'll give you what you need.
and for the most part, it sits well.
Yeah, it doesn't give you food poisoning, I guess. If that's the standard that we're putting Tim Hortons to now, that I
No,
didn't
no,
die when I ate it, so it's good.
no, no, no. I agree. I agree with her, and I think if Kelsey listens to our show all the time and hears the way we talk about Tim Hortons, she was probably pleasantly surprised when she got the flatbread pizza. I think if she got one of their bizarre like chicken sandwiches or soups, though,
Or their staple product, a coffee.
yeah, maybe get a different voicemail after that. Let's get to the next story. This is a story about scams and being scammed. And I like these kind of stories because it's usually interesting the way the steps that scammers or people with bad intentions will take to separate an honest person from their hard-earned money. This one, I don't even want to set it up much. I want to just get your honest take on this one because I have some thoughts on it. This story involves a couple from Ontario who recently had a wonderful trip to Mexico turned sour. While in Cancun, the boyfriend purchased a $4,000 ring and used it to pop the question. When they returned to Canada, they realized that the ring was nearly worthless. It was a fake. And that's when the battle with the credit card company begins. Listen to this.
May asked us not to use her full name or identify her because she's embarrassed to have been caught in a fake diamond scam. In February of this year, she was visiting Cancun with her boyfriend when they decided to take a tour.
We were told, if you're looking for jewelry, souvenirs, here's a place to go. Go to these people. Highly recommended. They're perfect. You won't get scammed. I remember them saying that specifically.
May found a beautiful diamond ring with white gold and her boyfriend bought it for her and proposed. Her fiancé paid more than $4,000 for the ring, but when she got home, a jewelry appraiser here said it was worth $50.
I was devastated. I was sickened. All I kept thinking about is he paid $4,000 for this ring that's not even real. It was disgusting.
The ring was purchased using an RBC Visa card and her fiancé requested a chargeback. Well, they were initially given a refund, the merchant complained, and the charge was put back on the Visa card and they were told to pay it.
It's not right. It's not fair. And where is our protection on things like this?
Your guard is down and these salespeople just tell you what you want to hear and are happy to take your money.
The Canadian Jewelers Association says if you buy expensive jewelry outside of Canada, you often have limited protection if something goes wrong.
You actually are gambling. There's no way for sure you know what you're getting, and you're taking a chance spending that kind of money.
When we reached out to RBC, they said the investigation was ongoing and a favorable decision had been made before our involvement. A spokesperson said, while this matter was resolved prior to CTV's inquiry to RBC, we understand it took longer than our client expected to reach a resolution. We have apologized for any inconvenience this may have caused. Still, May said she was glad she contacted Consumer Alert.
I've been dealing with this since the end of February. All of a sudden, I talked to you a week ago and it's resolved. I can't thank you enough, Pat and CTV, for looking into this matter. I can't thank you enough.
One thing I always comment on and I always notice is that so many people are like at war with a bank or this big company. As soon as they go on the news, it's like, yeah, we've looked into it and, it's all good. We rectified it. Like, we're all good. Like, that happens so often that so many companies, they might as well just publish in their, complaint process. And if you don't get your way, go on the news.
Yeah. And then they just get the consumer gets rewarded for being a bad consumer.
Yeah, that's something I'm curious on your take on this. Like, I don't see what her credit card company had to do with it. I think they
It was
stepped in.
completely her fault.
Yeah, the
Like
credit
it
card.
wasn't her credit card company's fault.
Well, it was her boyfriend. She didn't even buy the ring. Like, did he
Yeah.
use her credit card? Because he wasn't in the story. It made it sound like she was the victim of this. But here's the thing: is the credit card company stepped on it because they bought the ring in Mexico. They came back and found it wasn't as valuable as they thought. They asked for a chargeback, which is something a credit card company will do where they don't send the money or they take the money back from the person they sent it to originally because of some reason like breach of contract or something, I think. So they did a chargeback. Then the person who sold it, the retailer, complained about that. RBC, the bank, agreed to give them the money back, and now they were trying to get the money from this family. RBC was. So RBC put themselves in a position where they were trying to collect the money from her for something that she overpaid for. Nowhere in the news article did it mention there was intentional fraud. Like, if you have a ring on your desk for sale in Mexico for $4,000 and someone buys it, like it's kind of on them.
Yeah, you have the ring in front of you
Mhm.
at wherever it was they purchased it in Mexico.
Yeah, well, they asked like
And then
their tour guide said like this is a good spot for souvenirs and jewelry. You won't get scammed. That's my first like. Well, that sounds like a scam.
yeah, it sounds like the lead into every scam
Yeah.
that has ever been.
Souvenirs
But
and jewelry. And why did you bring
but
up
here's the thing,
scammed?
you pay for what it's worth to you,
Mhm.
you know? So when you see something like you and I might be at a store and there's a GI Joe figure there, and
Why
the
do you have to go
GI
there?
Joe figure is $500.
Mhm.
And I look at it and say, I would never pay $500 for a GI Joe figure. That is worthless to me. But then you look at it
Money
and
bags.
you say $500 is a deal for that because I really want it and it would be perfect in my collection. It's rare. So I definitely would pay that amount for that GI Joe figure. So she's looking at this ring in Mexico and it's like, I love this ring. You know, it's gorgeous. It's this, it's that. Oh my God, it looks beautiful on my hands. Oh my God, it's perfect. $4,000. Yes, I'll pay $4,000 for the perfect ring. So why even go and get it appraised after that?
Yeah. Was it an engagement ring or was this some kind of an investment?
I was kind of thinking when I was listening to the story, and I don't know if it clearly stated in the story or not. The boyfriend buys the ring, right?
Mhm.
And then she gets it appraised.
Yeah. What's the story there, right?
So they get back, and then maybe it's like, okay, you bought me this ring, but you know,
I'm not
did
quite
you
sure.
just, yeah, did you just buy me a crap ring or something? Or like what triggered her to go and get it
Yeah,
appraised?
there's a lot to this. And here's another thing is I don't know if you've bought much jewelry before, but when you buy like a ring, even from a reputable dealer, it often will be you'll buy it for $5,000, let's say, but it will come with these like appraisals and assessments that always value it way more than you bought it for. And
Yeah.
it seems like that whole like when I worked in insurance, people would get separate insurance for expensive rings, and it was always like they'd send me the receipt showing they bought it for $8,000, and then they'd send me this weird like assessment thing that they got when they bought it, showing it's worth $23,000. And I'm just like, well, that part's like worthless. Like it's just like a number on the paper. But
Hmm.
anyway, it's an interesting story. I think regardless of if you think she was irresponsible or he was irresponsible or the news didn't fully cover the entire story, I think if you're going to some other country, if they sell $4,000 rings and souvenirs, and in the same sentence you're told it's not a scam, that rings as scam to me. I've never seen a jewelry store also dabble in souvenirs.
No. And this is 100% the consumer's fault, and they should never have gotten their money back. And we hate to say it, but that's the reality. And shame on the credit card company for allowing this because they're afraid of the bad press. The credit card company are cowards, and they should reverse the reversal.
Again. Let's get on to the next story. This is going to be our last story of the night, and this is a good one. We have these kind of themes that we come across in unique and unusual Canadian stories. We talk about scams a lot. We talk about animals a lot. One thing we often get into is odd people doing even odder things, and that leads us to discussions a lot about, like, why are they doing this? Is this something we should be paying attention to? We've already had a few of those tonight. We had the weird house. We had the woman, the veterinarian who trained the chicken. Let's now talk about that alien in Edmonton. So Edmonton's Daryl Leary has found a creative way to keep Canada weird. He's one of Canada's most prolific contributors to Google Maps Street View archive, and he does it with a twist. To avoid Google's automated face detection software, which blurs human faces that appear on Google Maps, he began to wear a mask while documenting his city of Edmonton. And as a result, alien sightings are likely off the charts when it comes to people using Google Maps in Edmonton. Listen to this.
Edmonton man is one of the largest contributors to Google's Street View in our city. As Dav Sanger reports, he's exploring our planet as an extraterrestrial.
Daryl Leary is getting ready to record this Edmonton trail for Google Street View. Camera on, phone in hand. He's almost ready, but before he starts, one last important detail.
The idea of a space alien, exploring our planet, is just like how Google Street View is the exploration of our planet.
Calling himself the NASA alien, Leary has published more than 7,500 photos and 1,300 videos for Google Maps. That makes him one of Edmonton's main contributors to Google Street View. His alien look, a workaround to fool Google's AI, which blurs human faces.
The original inspiration for the alien mask was this image that was caught by the Google streetcar. There was like 6, I believe they were Japanese people dressed with pigeon masks.
He has recorded more than 86 kilometers of trails and published 91 blue lines. Zoom into one of them and you'll see the alien walking among us.
People I've shown my work to think it's either cool or it's quite funny or hilarious.
Leary has high-functioning autism, and he says while socialization can be challenging at times, his autism gives him intense focus, which is helpful for his long journeys.
I'm informing people on the conditions and the accessibility of different places and pathways that they're considering navigating.
Leary says the NASA alien will continue to explore our planet with the hope of helping a visitor or two.
It's a small purpose, but it's still a purpose, and that's what makes it meaningful.
It's weird. I didn't even realize when we talked earlier, comparing the chicken training, the house decorating, about which was a more worthwhile pursuit. This news clip kind of ends with that same question being asked to the subject, Daryl Leary. What do you think of what this guy's doing?
Yeah, I think of all of the stories tonight, when we ask ourselves which one is the most noble pursuit, and I think this is the one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
I like this one because it's kind of, it's kind of an art piece. It's kind of also something that this individual does, not just as art, but as kind of a, what would be the word?
Are you thinking of public service?
Not even public service, but a way of kind of almost like a meditation for them. Like it's healing for them to do it almost.
Mm-hmm. He sounds quite focused on it. And when you use the word like prolific contributor, that's what he's doing. Like this, when you use Google Maps, of course, there's the Google Street View, and there's cars that drive around with these fancy cameras and map out the streets. But then random people can contribute photos of buildings or sites or whatever, or they can go with a specialized camera like a 360-degree camera, and they can go biking through paths and record that and upload it to Google Maps so other people can see that. This guy, you heard the numbers in the ad, or in the article, he's done like something like 7,000 individual photos of places added to Google Maps, and like 1,300 like videos of like trails and stuff. So this guy must do that all the time, and there's no question that's a public service. It will help people explore the city and find these different areas or whatever, which that's good. But he's also added this twist that makes it fun and unique, and that twist is something as simple as wearing an alien mask the whole time. And
not only that, he's getting excellent exercise
Yeah.
doing this.
And he's
He's
getting
going
to
to
see the
trails and streets, and he's walking around everywhere.
city.
And that alone is great for your health. This is good for his mental health. This is good for our mental health. I think it's a great story. I have nothing to make fun of here.
No, I'm completely cool with it. This guy is talking about someone who does something weird and harmless to other people. Like, this is a guy who is he's doing something good, and he's just sprinkled a little bit of like unique and weirdness into it. That's exactly the kind of stuff I like to see. Like, if everybody found a way to do something like this, I think the country, that's what Keep Canada Weird is about, I think. I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I like this guy. I like the authenticity of his weirdness.
That's the word, authentic, because it is.
Like,
Like, I guarantee the news came to him. He didn't go to them.
Yeah, or maybe somebody tipped the news off about him, which is also a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
To keep it authentic. So yeah, I'd like to celebrate this individual. I like that it's an alien mask, because then the concept of aliens exploring our world and being caught on Google Maps is interesting. So yeah, Keep Canada Weird. High five to this alien dude.
You said you want to celebrate him. Do you want to give him a hand for a sec?
Oh, clapping?
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, I guess. I didn't like that. I don't want to do that ever again.
I don't know if clapping translates to audio only.
It doesn't.
There's a
No,
bunch of people whose headphones are blasting.
Especially
Bang,
the only person I can see is you. So it's not like this guy's in front of me and like there's a crowd of us here and we're clapping at him. It's like I'm just looking at you and clapping at you.
Yeah, it is weird. We won't clap
I feel like
anymore.
you tricked me into doing that. And you probably recorded that, and then you're going to play that at
blackmail.
yourself whenever you're feeling down.
Just you looking at me laughing. Anytime I do anything, I would do the dishes.
Anytime you do, you do the dishes or
Aaron can congratulate me. Let's end with another voicemail here. This one goes out to you, and I think, we just clapped for Daryl. I think now we can clap for you, Aaron, because Peterborough Pat is back. You may recall he was a little bit upset that you were kind of changing the scope of the show by Googling a bit. He's noticed a change in you, and he wants to commend you for it. Here it comes.
Hey, it's Pat from Peterborough. Aaron, thank you for your apology a couple episodes back about Googling certain topics. I'm glad you acknowledged your small mistake and you made it right. And I can see you have been tempted to Google things in a couple episodes since then, and you haven't. So that's a man who keeps his word. I think Jordan doesn't care. He's just got to Google things willy-nilly, and maybe that's okay. But I think the fact that Aaron doesn't makes the show better. And
I agree.
Yeah, I didn't want to call in and be the bad guy,
No.
But I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's a big issue, and I think you're handling it great. He had some harsh things to say. You saw your mistake. You apologized. You changed your behavior. And
what I love about it so much, and what makes me feel so good, is that he noticed that I wasn't Googling.
And you have been making an effort.
No, because there's so many times where I'm like, oh, I'd love to Google this, but I'm not Googling anymore on this show.
Mhm.
Because when we first started this show, I said it's good that we don't Google because then our reactions are completely natural, organic reactions. We react with the knowledge that we already have in our heads.
And that's it.
But and that's what I think makes that's why I think people connect to our reactions is because they're the same kind of reactions that you would have sitting around the kitchen table talking about a weird story. You would just be speaking from the hip.
Yeah, and that said, we've all been sitting around a table talking to some idiot who, like, every time someone says something, they pull out their phone and like fact check. We don't want to be
And
that
then
guy.
they say that as if it's their knowledge when they're just reading somebody else's knowledge from their phone.
Yeah.
So
We
I
dare
only
to
want
be
speak.
stupid.
Yeah, I only want to speak from earned knowledge, knowledge that I came across naturally or worked for out in the wild. And then I'm in the middle of a conversation reacting to something somebody said or something that I've seen. And I say, actually, here's what I know about that. This caller recognized it, and we've connected deeper than any other caller has ever connected with on this show. That you can feel the electricity and the fact that I apologized. He picked up that I was Googling, and then he recognized that I wasn't Googling anymore. And then we're bonded forever going forward.
Yeah, we have Keep Canada Weird has a lot of correspondence, but there's really only one like kind of producer, and that's Peterborough Pat. He keeps the show honest and pure, and we commend him
Pure
for it.
Pat, we'll call him.
Pure
Pat, Peterborough Pat.
Yeah. Thank you, Pat. That was a blast. I think we've done a lot of work here tonight, though. We found stories from coast to coast. We had scams. We had chickens. We had a weird house. We had Google Maps. I don't think there's anything we didn't get into tonight. So I think we can put a bow on this, Aaron.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
Keep up the great work. You're doing awesome. You're making everybody happy. And Peterborough Pat, pure Peterborough Pat, is proud of you. Proud Peterborough Pat.
Jordan, until next time. Peterborough picked a pack of pickled Pat. Peterborough and the Kawarthas. Pat. Google.
Are you okay?
Peterborough. Alien.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird, but let us also call out to you for even greater support in this work. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, we want to hear about it. As well, if you have any thoughts, theories, or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we want to hear about that too. The best way to reach us is by using the built-in voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And to sweeten the deal a little bit for you, if your voice is aired on the show, you qualify for a free Keep Canada Weird swag pack. So once you hear your voice message played, all you got to do is email me your address at nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll have something out to you right away. Aaron and I are excited to hear from you. Now, before we part here, let me end with some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who provides the intro and outro voiceovers for this series, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed. Aaron, Beverly, and Marcia, thank you for your generous support. And for anyone else who'd like to help out the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those new episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium right now at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And even if you don't want to go premium, You can still help keep Canada weird by sharing this episode on your social media and letting all your like-minded friends know that they should listen. Your support is very much appreciated. Now, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
We got to talk about our favorite story of the night. It's a slam dunk for me. The Google Map alien in Edmonton is exactly the kind of story that I come for.
Yeah, the alien is hands down the winner. We didn't even have to have this discussion. I don't like that.